Thank you for joining us at TCCA 2020. This year is our 10th anniversary, and we're so excited to have the attendees all over the world joining for our online conference. My name is Meredith McHugh, and I'll be hosting this session. Before we get started, I'm going to go for a few items. If you have any comments or questions, you go ahead and put them in the chat or the comment section, and we'll either discuss them at the end. And my co-host Chelsea will be helping me with those. And at the end of our session, I will be going over the secret password and the certificates. And it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Paquita. I nailed that one. And I will let her take it away.
Hello, everyone. It is so great to be here. I was telling Meredith my experience of being a participant in the conference. So now I get to share and give back to what gave me so greatly, especially my first year of being a teacher. So I hope that you're all having a great day, and I hope that I can add to your body of knowledge and experience that you received today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can begin. All righty. Oh, let me back out of there. All right, so today we are going to talk about something that I love to talk about is technology, but we're going to pair it with being able to network, something that used to make me really nervous. I don't know about y'all, but when you start networking and you're having those awkward introductions, it's like, okay, so what do I do? How do I work in who I am? And after the great conversation that starts, it's like, okay, now how do I give them something that represents me? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about stop printing, stop wasting paper, stop spending money on resources that change, because hopefully your paper that you or your resume that you gave someone in 2017 is not the same paper that you're using at this moment in 2020. And definitely you still don't want to even use the one that you used in January. You want to be able to update quickly and make sure the people that you give your information to have access to those updates. So I have something for you. So you want to be able to not just tell somebody who you are, because I can tell you I'm a mother, I can tell you I'm a wife, but you really get more out of it when you can see me being a mother. You see me at the football games yelling for my son, or you see me being a wife. You see me doing those things and you're like, okay, I believe her now. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a professor, because you can actually see it, because I can tell you anything. So you want to show people who you are. So you say, well, how do I show somebody who I am in a short amount of time, really quickly, introduce myself and say, hi, I can do all these things, and this is what it looks like. When you're at a mixer, you may not have that time. When you're at a job interview, you may not have that time. So I found a way to give you that time. This graphic represents a network of people, a network of people who want to stay connected, a network of people that are maybe professionally connected and they want to engage with others and share knowledge, but also share some of their ideas. And the way to do that is a simple way, but we're going to talk about it in a way that can hopefully help you understand what tools that you can use in professional circles in employment. So I want you to take a moment and you're going to log in to menti.com. It's the URL right up here. So go to menti.com and then you're going to use this code 4748312. And you can do this from your phone or your tablet, whatever device you're on right now. And you don't have to have a membership. You just log in there and put that code in. And then you're going to answer this question. What are the tools you use to network for professional circles and employment? So if you had just finished this amazing interview, what would you give them to remember you by? If you're in a professional network, you're at TCCA, and we're now virtual, how would you let somebody know how to contact you, how to know about your research, if you're into research, how would you let them know what projects you're working on? So go ahead and log in for me now, and we're going to share some ideas of what we can do and what tools that we use. And if you're having trouble, again, you just go to menti.com and then you use this code 4748312, and then it'll allow us to be able to see your answers. So I know a lot of people will think about tangible items. Big and bold, none. Okay. And that helps, because that means you're in the right place, because hopefully I'll be able to give you some tools that you can use. Who else has an idea of, or something that they utilize right now currently to share when they go out to network? And I'm thinking, because of lack of response, a lot of the answers are none, which means you're in the right place. Never fear. So by the end of this, you should learn at least one very strong tool that you can use to network in professional circles and to gain employment. So when we look back, we want to connect these dots, but we also want to update these dots. We don't want them to be stuck on the same information that we gave them when we initially met them. So what I am using to learn how to network in the 21st century, because I'm older, I'm not going to be able to have, or I don't have the same life experiences as some of the younger candidates that I'm competing against, because quite frankly, it is a competition. And when you're out networking and you're looking for a job, you are networking against millennials, you're networking against people that may be older than you, younger than you, more skilled than you, but you have to be able to make yourself stand out. And so how do you do that? I am using an online profile, and I created it. It's changed since I did some updates, and that was my original screenshot of when I first originally did this, but this is it now. So when I did this, I wanted to allow whoever looked at this a glimpse of who I am. Also to be able to give them my social media accounts. So on the right side, you'll see my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube accounts, so that they can have that. Gave them a quick bio. All the stuff that you may see on a resume, but now I can update it, and now they have a link that they can go to whenever need be, and they don't have to keep up with a sheet of paper. But for those of my people who do want a sheet of paper, all they have to do is to email me for my access to get access to my CV, and then they can view my CV online, which gives them all the traditional things that they would want to see. But again, I can update it readily and don't have to worry about, who I need to email this to. The people that I've contacted will have access to this. And they'll be able to go on here and print it if they need to print it. So you do get to blend the technology with the traditional. And that's exactly what the society that we're living in. Here we are, we're all used to going to TCCA and walking around and meeting new people and going to these conferences. Well, because of pandemic, we had to think of a different way to do the same thing. And that's basically what you're doing. You're trying to think of a different way to do the same thing that you normally do, which is network professionally and look for employment. On this, you will also find about my education. They can go here, and if they want to know where I attended, what degrees I hold, what certifications I hold, they can go straight here and do this. And I can update certifications as I gain them. I can change my employment as it changes through positions. It's a great opportunity to keep people abreast of the current you. So even included on here is my philosophy of education, because a lot of people, especially in education, they're going to want to know, so what's your philosophy? What do you think about education? And I'm able to give them that information. I can include tech that I love to use. There's all kinds of possibilities. And then even with the career, going back to the employment part, I can put where I work, what I do, what I've learned from there. And didn't know it at the time, but when I got this online training certificate, it was going to be put to use months later. So things like that now are very important because a lot of higher education and secondary employers are looking for people who are trained to teach online. So you want to highlight those things that you have accomplished. These tabs are completely customizable. You can change them. You can make them what you want. You start off with a very basic page and you're able to build it into what you need it to be. I am a researcher, so I do have a tab for my research that other researchers can look at and see my research agenda. They'll be able to go on here and see my doctoral dissertation. They'll be able to go on here and see my master's thesis. This is basically your social media platform to brag about what you have done and what you have accomplished so that you can bring attention to what you're doing so you can conquer networking and so you can get those jobs that you want, but do it in a way that is efficient and shows who you are. So now looking at this, hopefully I have showed my potential employer, that I like technology. I am familiar with technology, the things that I can produce from technology, because that is me. And I can put on a resume that I'm an Apple teacher, that I'm a Google level 1 and level 2 certified educator. I can put all of those things on a resume and it still may gain attention, but to be able to show someone what it looks like is very powerful. It reminds me back of a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that is exactly what you want them to see when they see this. Now, some people say, okay, well, how do I get this information to them in the moment? In the moment, you can use business cards. They have Hashtag, which is a digital business card, which I encourage people to use. But I also created these little business cards to bring with me. And it has the URL for my site on here, but it has my contact information. And on the back, it just shows the skills and the things that I'm qualified in. But this is something quick and easy they can grab. This is something quick and easy you can give out and directs them to what you really want them to see, your full resume and things like that. So technology can be scary. We are very much so in a virtual lifestyle right now, and you don't want that to limit you or become an obstacle in your job search, in your networking. So you have to get there. And I love this meme because it says there was a virtual career fair today, and you're like, whoa, no. And previously, before the pandemic, we may have shied away and like, no, I'm just going to do face to face. Unfortunately, that's not an option. So you have to adjust. You have to pivot. So how do you pivot? You have to find ways that you're comfortable with in small manners to get on board. So my site didn't start off as elaborate as it is now. It started off very basic, resume, bio, and that was it. And then it grew as I was able to add to it. And that's what, you take baby steps. And anything most ed tech people will tell you, don't try to conquer the world in one setting. You take on those things that you can do, perfect it, and then you grab something else. So you may just start off with a resume. You may just start off with a CV and a bio, and that's fine. But at least you're starting. And that's what we want to do at this point. So now that you know a little bit more about a way to use ed tech and use these skills to make you more competitive in the professional networking and job marketing, what would you say were your key takeaways from this presentation thus far? And we're going to use the same menti.com, and you're going to enter this code instead, which is 6479298. And then I want to know some of your key takeaways so that we can talk about them. And we'll have a question and answer session after this, but just want to be able to elaborate on some of the things that you learned thus far and be able to walk you through those things. As a matter of fact, let's see. When I go back, we'll look at my Google slide. I want to show you some edit tools, but what are some things that you've learned so far that you say, okay, I didn't know that, but that helps. Or I didn't think about that, but that helps. Or even if you find that, hey, I was already doing that. So again, you're going to do menti.com. Put in your user code 6479298. And while you're doing that, I want to pull up and show y'all the next part is to show you some little takeaways that you can actually go into the slide. So our first response is a quick way to update and market yourself digitally. This is innovative and can transcend the virtual and face-to-face environment. I totally agree. When I found out about digital portfolios and a way to use them professionally, I was like, whoa, this is great. This is, again, a way to save money from printing those resumes, because we all know when you print your resume, you can't print it on the white standard carpet paper. You got to go get the linen paper, and it costs a lot to print on. And then you don't know if you have enough when you get there. So you end up overprinting sometimes. And so now you have this outdated document that you've wasted money on, and you're like, ugh. Okay, I have my own sites on sites, Google Sites, good, on google.com, good. So I'm hoping that you're using it in a way that can help you let people know who you are. I have my resume digitally, but I hadn't thought about making it interactive. Yes, this is a good way to keep it. I know, again, I think Haystacks has it where you can make it digitally as well, but this makes it, just like any Google activity, or not Google, what I'm thinking about, form, or it's live updates is what I'm trying to get to. You can do live updates. You don't have to send out an email to say, okay, it's updated, but you can. But you can update it in the moment, and that's what I love about it. So when somebody clicks on it, they get the most accurate information. Because true story, one job fair I went to, I had printed my resume out on that linen paper, had put it in this really nice leather portfolio. And then when I get there, I'm looking at my resume and my phone number was incorrect. That just became a very useless sheet of paper, because nobody wants to scratch out the phone number and then write it in. That doesn't look very it doesn't represent how I wanted to represent myself. Whereas now, if I give them this card with my URL, or if I share it with them, email it to them, if I notice something is missing, I can quickly change it and everything is good. So I'm going to show you the backside of the website. So when you go in, there's all kinds of things that you can change. It is very Google in the fact that they have safeguards in to make sure that you produce a pretty site. So if this is not your thing where you say, okay, I don't know how to match colors and pick the right font, Google is excellent in helping you. You can just choose, okay, do I want it to be normal text? Do I want it to be a title? Do I want it to be a heading looking? And it'll show you these things that best match what you already have going on, even down to the color, even down. So if I was to go here and say, okay, I don't want it to be gray anymore, I'm going to change it to an emphasis of 2. So now it makes it all green. So it's not going to give you the options to choose different colors, because it's going to base it off of the theme that you've already chosen. And by that, I mean this. If I go to this theme, and they have various themes that you can choose. I chose the Diplomat, and it's going to have this color scheme in there. So all of the colors are going to be in that family of colors. So that is not going to be a hot pink in there or a highlighter green in there. It's going to be in the same family, so that my site has a nice constant color palette. You don't want it to be shocking where it's scaring people. So when you look here, you can even say, okay, do I want a classic? Do I want heavy? And that's just going to change your font style. So when I click Aristotle, you see there's some changing because of the palette. None of this publishes live until you click this little magic button up here called publish. So you can make all the changes you want, and just like anything else, if you didn't like it, hit undo last and it'll take you right back to where you were. If you wanted to say insert a text box, you hit text box insert and it'll allow you to type whatever information in there you want to include. If you hit it said reload. Let's reload. It's got a little error. But the cool thing is, because Google is self-saving, it's not going to change anything again until I hit publish. If you wanted to add an image, you can either upload from Google, you can upload from your computer, you can upload from your drive. So if I click Google Drive, it's going to show me whatever pictures I have readily available in there, and I can go to those pictures and upload them in there. If you have something that uses embedded code, you can use that. But it also helps you with your layouts. So I traditionally choose a picture, then font layout. This is usually my favorite. And then on, let's see, one of these pages, oh, not that one. On my doctoral thesis, I changed my layout and I used this layout because it would allow me to put several different pictures in a row. And if I wanted to put content at the bottom, that I could, but even in that, I was able to customize it to more of what I want it to look like. But it is a helper for those of us who don't have a good layout vision or may not be very good at designing tech. This will help you become stronger because it's going to help you see ideas and put placement of colors and fonts in the way that's best suited for you. The last thing I want to show you before we start questions and answers is the pages. So you say, okay, when you create this, it's only going to come up with a home page and an about me page. So then you'll have to create the other ones you wanted. And you do that by pressing this button and you say, okay, whatever title you want it to be. If you hit advance, and it'll show you a path that you want it to go. So for instance, and we'll take that out. Here under my research, I did not want to put everything under my research page because there were several different topics under my research that I wanted to talk about. I put a header, and then under there, I created a pathway to my research agenda, my dissertation, and my master's thesis. So it gives you a lot of amazing options to be able to share your work and show who you are, even down to simple things like adding a divider to add a little bling to your place, your website. You can add YouTube videos. I know a lot of educators are YouTube bloggers, and they put their videos on there showcasing the how-tos, and this will be a great way that you can put it all in one place. If you wanted to add a calendar to show, hey, these are some of the things that I'm doing, I can actually add my professional calendar to this site. And if people wanted to know where I was presenting, I could provide that information to them. I think I like that idea. I might add that later. So you can add Google Docs, and that's how I added my CV. You can add presentations, and that's actually how I did that on this one. You can, nope, not that one. I think it was this one. Yeah, projects. So you can actually click these projects and go through the individual PowerPoints and understand my vision for that topic. So you can add that in there. When I have research, I also provide, where is it? Under conferences, any conferences that I have attended, I provide an overview of what that conference looked like. I'm trying to find. So I'll tell you about topics that I have coming up. One of the research topics that I was working on is educational technology and how it reduces stereotype threats. In the research community, you'll have people that'll follow you to keep up with your research. So if you speak at a conference and you introduce your research, they'll follow you to see how the research is coming. So I wanted to provide a place where they could follow me and not necessarily have to email me for it, because you want to think about the person that you're sending this message to. Employers, when they're interviewing, they want to be able to contact you, but they don't necessarily want to be able to have to ask a lot of follow-up questions. So to avoid questions that you may have, asking them, okay, so when are you going to hire me? So now if you provide them this, they can go on here and see information they may have forgot to ask you, and keeps your name in circulation. Sheets, you can add Google Sheets to this. If I wanted to add a survey sheet that I'm working on, I could put that in there and allow people to see. And you can add Google Forms in here. And that allows, so if you wanted to check somebody's feedback about a presentation that you put on here, you can add a form and get their feedback from that. So this is, to me, an amazing tool to just let people know more about you professionally and what you're trying to accomplish, and let them know what you have already accomplished, especially if you're in the hiring process. If you're being interviewed and you're being looked at for a position, you want them to have as much knowledge about you and your work ethic and your work production to be able to hire you. So these are some of the apps that you could use to create a digital portfolio. Obviously, I got like Google Sites because that's the one I showed you, but Seesaw, Easy Portfolio, Evernote, VoiceThread is an app that I love for different reasons, but VoiceThread it kind of reminds me a little bit of Flipgrid because you can do the video and have people comment, but it also has a way to save videos and files so that you can create a digital portfolio. So possibilities, not only with this, you could create blogs, you could create surveys, you could have the event calendar that I spoke with, and even a request to speak. There's a calendar app called Calendly that you can send a link to someone and they can request a meeting with you looking at your calendar. This would be great to add to your digital portfolio. So digital portfolios have so many amazing opportunities that you can use them for professionally networking, but also when you're on the job hunt for a new career or a new position. So now we made it to the end of the presentation where I'm going to answer any questions that you may have. I'm also going to ask you to follow me on Twitter at Bakita Pegram. If you want to talk more about Ed Talk or any of the things that were mentioned, I would love to talk to you about it because I love talking about it. And this is just one of my favorite quotes, and I think it speaks true to digital portfolios. It's doing a common thing in a very, or I add very, in an uncommon way, because resumes are not new to the world. Networking is not new to the world. Job fairs are not new to the world, but it's just taking that event and making it new. And this digital portfolio will help you take those events and make it new. So now I'm going to exit out of here, and I want to be able to answer any questions that you may have.
I think your presentation will be on your website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How can they get to that website?
So that's a great question. Let me go back, and I'm going to copy the link for y'all. That way you can have it. Let's do it this way, easier. Let's see. Meredith, if I put it in our chat, can you share it with them?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. And matter of fact, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the presentation link in there too. And if you can share that with them, that way they can get both of them today.
Chelsea, do you have any questions for her?
Have any? It was a great presentation, though.
Good. I'm hoping that the lack of questions means that it was very easy to understand and that y'all are tired.
Yes, it was very easy to understand. And I mean, I think it's also knowing Google Sites, but that is very helpful, not only for like my age stuff, but for Chelsea's age too, for, when they eventually do go to the workload, because the way of paper copies is now changing completely.
Yes, it is. And for good reasons. There's pros and cons to that. Definitely a pro for me, and I'm going to say it again, you don't have to buy the linen paper anymore.
Yes.
The linen paper was expensive, and a very expensive mistake if you made a mistake.
And I also think a lot of people ask, what is linen paper too?
And see, that me telling my age, resume paper. You can't print on a regular white sheet of copy paper that we do our homework on or print our syllabus on. Yeah. It needs to be thick, so you got to buy the card stock and all of that. So you save all of that. Google Sites is free, and a lot of the other sites that I mentioned to you, they're free. So you can go on and redo, revise, take it down, do whatever you need to do to make it great. And I just think it's a more current way to advertise yourself.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I did mine on Spark.
Okay. Yes. I love Adobe. Because matter of fact, part of the presentation was actually printed or created on Adobe Post. So all of my graphics came from there. That's a great tool as well.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is promoting a conference to the conference. They just had Adobe Max that was completely free for 3 days. So you can go back and watch any of their videos too.
Okay. I'll definitely do that because I think, like you're right, it still has the share capability. And whenever you update it, you don't have to let anybody know. It's just going to update. So all of those.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you can do to be great now and to keep up with your competition and making sure you're marketable, because even within your districts, when you're trying to go for that coaching position, you want to show what you can do.
Yeah.
And the employer, the hiring manager doesn't have a lot of time sometimes to sit there and try to decipher, okay, which resume I look like. So you want to make yourself stand out. And this is a great way to make yourself stand out.
Yes. Yes. So thank you for being here, Paquita. I am going to put thank you, Chelsea, too. I'm going to put the word below.
Okay.
It is success. It was a successful presentation. We'll give it back, but it was successful. The word is success, though. If you want to type it, just a word of caution with the certificates, I would download them, then open it, then type your name in it. And then save it. It's just easier that way instead of trying to type it and download it. It doesn't always work out.
Gotcha.
Yes. Gotcha. But it was enjoyable. It was a very good. Can't wait to go make mine now again.
Yes. I mean, it's fun. It can be a rabbit hole, though, because when you start playing with some of the tools and the colors and you're going back and forth, it can really, it'll keep you busy.
And I like that you made it interactive.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to. So. Yeah. It's a different level of the portfolio then.
Yeah, it is. It is. So thank you again. If y'all have any questions, do not hesitate to email me, tweet me, phone me, all of that good stuff.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.